Bleeding Purple Podcast.
Steve Brown steps up in the pocket. Hill fires the right side. Caught by Diggs. Stay on. Oh my God! 40, no tag. Are you kidding me? The winner in the Minneapolis way. Stephon Diggs and the Minnesota Vikings have walked off on the New Orleans Saints. It's a 61-yard Minneapolis miracle. I can't believe what I just saw. What an unbelievable play.
Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in to Bleeding Purple, a podcast about the Minnesota Vikings. My name is Tyler Haig. I'm joined, as always, by Mr. Adam Patrick. Hello, good sir.
What's up?
I put my pen down and I put it away from me, so I'm not going to tap with it this week, hopefully. Terrible news, tragic news out of, I guess, St. Paul, Minneapolis, where I'm not sure where Mr. Sperano lived, but
Oh, yeah.
obviously Tony Sperano has passed away, which is like what a ridiculous, like crazy thing
Yeah.
to say on a podcast. But yeah, the Vikings offensive line coach no longer with us. Super, obviously tragic and terrible and shocking. And I mean, what can you say about something like this? You know, like
There's not much to say. Like he was. I guess he was going through. He had complained of chest pains last week. He went to the hospital on Thursday, but they sent him home. So I'm guessing that all the tests they ran or whatever weren't ridiculously.
yeah. See, that's the
outrageous.
worst. That's the worst part, I think, too, is that he was actually making an effort to try and figure out what was going on, and then still.
And then his wife. I guess his wife found him unconscious on Sunday, and he was passed away. So his position is open, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah,
And
how do you?
the timing of this is it's pretty bad, but I mean, it's not really. I don't think anyone's really thinking about football at this point about this. But
Yeah.
the Vikings don't really have a choice since training camp begins this week, and they got to figure out. They don't have much time to grieve.
No, they
Get back to work.
rookies report tomorrow, do they not?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they report
so-
on Tuesday.
Basically, no time to think about it. And I mean, how do you transition from something that tragic into how does this affect the Vikings season? But I mean, we're gonna try.
Yeah,
and
I mean, there's not a whole lot of positives. I guess it's good that it wasn't a player, but still, it's not something a team wants to deal with. Especially, Mike Zimmer's dealt with something like this before, where like he found his wife almost 10 years ago in a similar situation. He came home and she was unconscious and she passed away. So he's been in this situation before, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And now he loses a friend, and all the Vikings players and coaches and staff, they all lose a friend, and it's just not a good thing to happen to this team. And
no, terrible.
just the latest, I guess, unfortunate event to happen to this Vikings franchise.
That's what I was gonna say. It's not. This is so sad to say, but not unprecedented, because the Vikings with Corey Stringer and this, they have dealt with terrible tragedies like this, like the loss of life early on in a season. It's brutal. How do you get it together and start playing football, let alone the Vikings have to bring somebody in. So, I mean, obviously, or I shouldn't say obviously, but is it fair for us to assume that they're just going to promote in-house because that is the fastest way to go? Or what do you think their move is going forward from like a actual like personnel standpoint? Like,
They could bring someone from the outside, but I think the easiest transition to make would be to promote someone from within. I just wrote about this for the Viking Age, and they have an assistant offensive line coach who worked with Sperano last year, and I believe his name is Andrew Janako. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, but he
don't
was
often
just
talk about the assistant offensive line coach.
Yeah, he was the assistant offensive line coach with Sperano last year. He's going to have the same position this year, so the Vikings could just make him into the head offensive line coach. But then they also have Clancy Barone, he's the current tight ends coach. But before he came to the Vikings, he spent 3 years as the Broncos offensive line coach, and he's coached offensive line for like a number of colleges and I believe the Falcons too. So he's got that experience as like a head offensive line kind of guy. And then the Vikings have coaches that have tight end coach experience, like Kevin Stefanski. So it's kind of complicated, but if they move Barone, he's probably not going to be both tight ends and offensive line coach. It's either going to be one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
So if they move him to offensive line, they might have to shuffle some more people, like move Stefanski to tight ends because he was there a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have Todd Downing, who's just like an offensive assistant, but he has a history of working with quarterbacks. Even John DeFilippo, he's a quarterbacks coach, obviously, in his past. So, they're going to have to do some shuffling. I just don't think they'll bring someone from the inside. I think they have already spent a whole off season, implementing schemes and stuff like that. And I don't think they just want to switch stuff up at this point.
Yeah. Do you think it's more likely that they would do that because of the new offensive coordinator situation? I mean, if there was a time to do it, it's probably now because they haven't had. But I mean, I don't know. Where do you go with that? You just got to get somebody in there. It's this week. Like, it's tomorrow rookies show up. You got to be teaching these guys the schemes. There's no way they're bringing in somebody from the outside. Yeah. You just give that guy the job and you go, right? Unless
it's someone who either worked with Sperano and runs this pretty much the same system as him, or someone who runs the same schemes and stuff as him. Because at this point, it's just the season's too close to bring a brand new person and implement totally different things.
Yeah. Does this? I mean, it kind of feels like maybe a bad time to ask this question, but we only do this show once a week, so I'm going to ask it anyways. Do you think, does this, with all due respect to family and friends and everybody from Tony Sperano, but do you think that does this concern you more? Does the offensive line concern you more now that this has happened and they are going to transition into a new, I guess for lack of a better term, head offensive line coach? Like, does this it scares me. This scares me. Does it scare me?
I would like to say no, but I think the obvious answer is yes. I mean, the microscope I think, will be zoomed in a lot more on this offensive line because of this. I mean, they have pretty much the same group of players except for
Compton and O'Neal, basically.
All their starters will likely be from players who were the team last year. So they're a group that has worked together before. So that will help them. I mean, Elflein and Eason are both coming off of injuries, so that'll be also something to watch. Mm-hmm. But it was the not magnifying glass, but the microscope was going to be on this position group anyways, and this heightens it. But I think if they promote within, the transition will just be a lot easier than bringing someone else in. Yes. But it's definitely. I mean, it has to be
more concerning. Yeah. Oh, wow. And I was freaking out about the offensive line. I didn't think people were talking about it enough. I think that's a very, very real concern for this team, because if that offensive line doesn't play well, it's going to be very hard for Kirk Cousins to look good. And if Kirk Cousins doesn't look good, the ship will sink, man. People will freak out.
Yeah, and I also think the type of offense that DeFilippo runs, it's a West Coast offense, so it doesn't really rely on, the offensive line holding their blocks as much as it would be in like a North Turner offense. So that should help them out, and I think he'll be able to figure out ways to, even if they're not doing as well as they would hope, figure out ways to make them not that big of a significant factor.
Yeah. Real quick side question. Are we just all assuming that DeFilippo is going to be incredible and there's not going to be any like real growing pains for this offense? Correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a huge chance that this offense could like not get its feet until week 5, and at that point they could be 1-4.
I mean, you're definitely a Vikings fan looking at it from that point of view.
Yeah, but can't watch it.
But I think you also have to look at the type of offense. It's going to be similar to what Trimmer ran. Zimmer's still there, so he wants to run a similar sort of offense. He doesn't want to run a completely different thing.
Yeah.
They're still going to run the ball a lot. They still have Diggs and Thielen. They still have Rudolph. Still got Dalvin Cook. They got a great quarterback in Kirk Cousins. So there's a lot of positives to look at. That,
What are those?
a lot of times players can also make up for, coaches, not being the greatest at coaching offense. I mean, we'll see this year if Jay Gruden was, as good of an offensive coach as people think he was when Kirk Cousins was there. So
Yeah. We're going to learn a lot about John Gruden this season too, but
Yeah.
separately for different reasons. Okay, training camp. We're gonna move past. Rest in peace, Tony Soprano.
It's here.
Training camp is here. Ugh, I'm so excited. I can't handle it. Rookies report tomorrow. Older dudes come later in the week. Is that on Thursday or Friday? Thursday.
I think Thursday.
Okay. Found out also that they do not get to go home. They will be in hotels in the area, so it will still have the not dorm room vibe. Yeah, but they will have them
So they want everyone to be
quarantined. Yep.
contained.
It's team building. It's no big deal, but it's a team building thing.
If their family wants to come visit them, it's a lot easier trip.
I mean, faith, football, and family. There's a reason that family's number 3 on that list, Adam.
Oh, wow.
I don't think that's the order people usually say
No.
it in, but yeah, we've talked about that. Are they going to keep them there? Are they going to be able to go home? Or the family's going to? But yeah, it sounds like that's the only stipulation.
I mean,
They
from
will
the
be
looks of
staying in the hotel, but
The TCO Performance Center, I'd want to stay there too. So.
no kidding, I would sleep there, no problem. Just give me a cot, I'm good.
Yeah, they got nice couple couches in the locker room, don't they?
Dude, they have everything in there. Everything. It's unbelievable. So, as far as training camp is concerned, this is basically this episode. Now that we've gotten past the tragic news, this is like the training camp primer episode. This is the
Training camp preview.
big preview. I feel an echo there. I don't know. It just came out,
Yeah.
but I think that's where we'll go with it. Let's talk about some battles, some positional battles. Different. What are you looking forward to from a, positional battle standpoint?
Well, I mean, most of their starters are pretty much set. I believe they're returning 19 of 22, and 2 of those were filled by Kirk Cousins and Sheldon Richardson. So most of the battles are depth this year for the Vikings, except for kicker between Daniel Carlson and Kai Forbath, which I think is Carlson's to lose. And
I would agree
it
with
looks
that.
like right tackle is going to be up for grabs because it sounds like Mike Remmers is going to be
play
the
guard.
right guard. So, and that looks like it's probably going to be between Rashad Hill and the rookie Brian O'Neill. So I think Rashad Hill's probably got the advantage. He's got the experience or whatever. But a good camp by O'Neill or an injury to Hill could switch things up. I really don't want a rookie starting from Pittsburgh again. That right tackle again. But if they think he's good enough to roll, out there in week 1, then he's good.
I'm definitely more comfortable with O'Neal than Clemmings, though. I just want to get that out there. So.
Yeah. O'Neal was picked in the 2nd round. Clemmings, I think, was a 4th round pick. So
Clemmings, who coincidentally was blocking for Kirk Cousins at one point last season. Do you remember that? He made it in.
Yeah.
So everybody who's talking about how bad those stats and all that looks from Kirk Cousins last year, TJ Clemmings.
But I think the battle, it's kind of a low-key battle. I think the battle I'm most interested in is kick returner, actually.
Okay.
Because it's going to be probably Marcus Sherrills, Mike Hughes will be in that. And they have a couple rookies that could probably, another couple more undrafted rookies that could be involved, like Jeff Badette and even Chad Beebe. I think even Stacy Coley returned some kicks when he was at Miami, so he could be in that.
And I think he did at the in training camp last year as well.
Yeah, so that's going to be interesting to watch, especially with the new kickoff rules or whatever. I cannot remember exactly what they state, but
Do you think if Marcus Sherrills doesn't win the kick return, punt return, that one of those, do you think he doesn't make the team?
he's gone.
Yeah. Oh, that would be so sad. But I mean, how many years have we been?
It would, but he's been consistent, but is as consistent great. Like,
I guess that. Well, see that.
not blowing people out of the water. Like, I think he averages like 10 yards a punt return or whatever.
Yeah. Well, that's totally personal preference. Do you want somebody who is like Cordero Patterson, who could definitely score a touchdown every time he touched the ball, but could also lose 15 yards and possibly the ball sometimes? Yep. Or do you want a guy like Marcus Sherrills, who's barely ever going to score a touchdown, but will never drop the ball and will always get you a couple 3-5 yards?
Get you a nice 35-yard return every now and then.
Yep. I picked
Blocking.
that. Personally.
But yeah, and I think you have to there's like no wedge blocks anymore, so I think you have to factor that in too. Like,
kickoffs is changing, man.
Get someone back there who can, just make plays on their own instead of like relying on blocks. And the other battle that Mike Hughes is in is like for nickel corner. I think that'll be interesting to watch too, because I think the Vikings would like Mackenzie Alexander to step up and be that guy. But I think Mike Hughes, he's been getting a lot of praise this offseason, so let's see if he can keep that up. It would be interesting to see if Mike Zimmer actually makes a rookie as his nickel corner.
Could you imagine if of all the guys that he's drafted since he's been here at corner, if Hughes is the guy that winds up being the best out of all of them? How good their defensive backfield will be if Hughes winds up being the best out of that crew? Like,
I mean, and then safety net, they still have Terrence Newman. So
Terrence Newman.
Still there.
Still hanging. Still here. Trying to win rings.
He's got a walker this year, but he's still, with the tennis balls on the bottom.
Yeah, that was I agree with you on those camp battles. I always like to watch, in addition to the ones that you said, I always like to watch the Sendejo. I want to see somebody be better than him. And
but they didn't really bring anyone.
And that doesn't seem like they're concerned. I mean, for a 3 or 4 years, it felt like they were always trying to bring somebody in to take his spot, and it feels like they're good with him now. Pro Football Focus and Madden love him.
Yeah, that Pro Football Focus loving anyone doesn't really tell me much. I like their detailed stats, but grades, that's a whole different podcast.
Yes, it is. We should do that.
And there's other battles too. There's third wide receiver. Is Treadwell going to win that? Is Kendall Wright going to win that?
Because you got to think if Treadwell isn't in the number 3 spot, he probably won't be on the team. I mean, maybe they keep him. Maybe they keep him like for the season, but that's basically the end of his Vikings career.
I think with Caleb Jones being suspended, they would keep Treadwell at least for the first 4 weeks. And there's who's going to be the third running back? Not that I mean that player would get a lot of playing time, but that spot's open with McKinnon gone. Even backup quarterback, I think people are assuming that Trevor Siemian is going to take that spot, but Kyle Sloter creeping up. He could take that.
He's got some fans. Sloter's got some fans.
He had a good preseason last year.
Do you remember at this time, well, I guess it was a little bit early this time last year, but Heineke and Keenum just weren't sure. Yeah. We just didn't know. We just didn't know.
It was very close.
Could have been either. I don't know. I'm not sure. Unbelievable. And now we look how far we've come. Crazy. I heard that on the radio today, and I was like totally taken aback by it.
They didn't know.
No. We had no reason to.
They didn't neither of them had an outstanding preseason or anything like that.
No, man. I've said it a million times, but going to that training camp the one day I went, the difference between Sam Bradford and Case Keenum was so noticeable. Like, it was unbelievable. And I remember, and I said on this very show that if Case Keenum has to start any number of games, Vikings are in trouble. 5 wins max. I might have been wrong there, but how do you know? We were comparing him to Taylor Heineke.
Speaking of Bradford, I saw a photo of Bradford today. I think it was Cardinals training camp, obviously.
How's he look?
No knee brace on either knee.
I wonder how long that lasts.
Why not? Why are you not wearing a knee brace just for precautionary?
I wonder if he's thinking that he's just going to go full Peyton Manning, where if anybody's close, he's just going to tip over. And then they'll just touch him down and he'll be good. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just like that.
But then I saw he was handing the ball off to David Johnson, who had an ankle injury last year, and David Johnson had like a splint on his his ankle or whatever, or a brace on his ankle. But not Bradford.
No.
Knee problems are in the past. Don't
Sammy
worry
B
about
doesn't
those.
need that.
No.
Chronic knees, I'll
But
show
you don't
you.
need to take any precautions. That's for fools.
Thanks for censoring that.
Yeah.
Oh, Bradford. Side question. Do you think Bradford or Bridgewater will get moved before the season starts? Like if somebody gets hurt and somebody needs a starting
Bridgewater.
quarterback, Bridgewater is going to go before Bradford, you would assume. But do you think either will go?
Probably not, but the best chance is Bridgewater. I would like to see him move. I'd like to see him get an opportunity, and that's speaking of him. Also, I saw a picture of him last week, and he had like some of that like kinesiology.
Yeah, the knee tape.
or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was
I don't like that.
he's just like sitting in a car, like not on the field.
If you're in street
Like,
clothes, you shouldn't have the keep my knee together tape on, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's for like healing or whatever, but if you still need that, it's probably not a good sign. Like everyone's pulling for him. If you're not pulling for him, you probably have a very dark heart.
Well put. I would agree with that.
You're cold-blooded and all that stuff. But yeah, everyone wants to see him. That dude succeed. He's a good dude. He looked great in that preseason and training camp leading up to his injury. And now he's in New York in that ugly green.
Yeah. New York. Here's what I hope that he places where they have no choice but to make him the starter.
I
Get somebody else.
Just the preseason is going to be the big thing. See how he does in like actual game situation.
Yeah, because when he played, he didn't look that great last time.
Or the 3 snaps.
God, I'm just
Yeah.
saying he threw an interception. Didn't look great.
Yeah. You sound like some of my favorite people on Vikings
On
Twitter.
Vikings Twitter. Yeah, buddy.
Yeah. Who right now don't want to pay Stephon Diggs because you should take a hometown discount.
The Diggs versus Barr thing is starting to really bother me because the more I think about it, the crazier
It shouldn't even be a
seems.
debate.
No, it's not even close. It's so far apart. It just doesn't.
They'd rather pay a linebacker $15 million than a receiver.
Yeah, why?
A linebacker who doesn't. He's not like. I don't think he's a difference maker. Right now, he could be.
I just don't know how you can look at the way Stephon Diggs catches the ball in traffic, and not
Gets
see
one.
that that's
He always
helping
gets
your
yards
whole team.
catch, too. He's not like someone like Kyle Rudolph who looks for out of bounds or
looks to
Just
go
goes
down
right
after
down.
you get
he's always fighting for extra yards.
He is. Also watched.
Okay.
Was that yesterday that the NFL Network was replaying the Minneapolis Miracle? It was great. Whatever day it was.
I think yesterday was the Super Bowl.
Okay. Well, I
couple days
watched
ago.
it. It was wonderful.
Oh yeah, first time.
No, I've watched it a lot, but it's been a little while, and I just saw it, and it was great. End of story. Good stuff.
Well, that was in the news last week because
Oh yeah, because the ESPYs.
some people won an award.
Do you think it was kind of weird to see Diggs and Keenum on the same stage?
Yes,
I agree. Felt a little tension there.
Not tension, but just like awkwardness.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
I wish I could still be with you guys,
Yeah.
but
Weird that we're
Come
not
on,
on the same
man.
team. Yeah.
I'm the Broncos guy now.
But
what
everybody
that's
keeps
what they-
calling me Chase.
They're telling me.
They said I'm the guy, but nobody says my name
No
right.
one knows my name. Yeah.
Oh, that poor guy. Case Keenum. I'm glad he got paid, because,
Another good guy.
yeah, he's a good guy. And congratulations on the ESPY.
Yeah. He didn't say a word.
Nope.
Diggs said it all.
Also on the ESPYs, Jim Kelly. No idea that was the kind of shape that he was in these days.
Not looking good.
Bummer. Really sad. Also, this, at the risk of sounding a bit insensitive here, that award, although probably humbling to be receiving that award, doesn't like
Bode well.
for you in the future. Yeah, like I would be a
Jimmy
little,
Butler.
yeah, I'd be a little disappointed to get that letter from ESPN. We're like,
Yeah,
hey,
it's like,
you want to
hey, you're
give me
almost
this?
gone. Here's your
Yeah,
award.
doesn't it feel like that now? Where we've done it for enough years, where it's like, how do you contact
Well,
them and like,
I think sometimes they give it to like cancer survivors. I think last year was that for the
Hmm. Yeah,
Saints
yep.
kid or whatever.
you're right. Okay, good.
So it's not always a bummer award, but this year
It
was
just,
definitely.
yeah, it totally felt like a bummer award for me.
Especially
Just-
when like you hear him speak and like he doesn't have any like teeth in his upper jaw.
Yeah, it didn't
'cause
sound
of
good.
surgeries.
it sounded bad. I felt really bad for him.
He's probably like 150 pounds less than his playing weight.
Which also is hard to see. He
so you look at-
in his speech he mentioned though the John Elway. He's the only one of those quarterbacks that won Super Bowls. That blew my mind. None of them
Eight-
in like the
84.
quarterback like class.
Yeah,
Only John Elway.
and he barely won it. He won it the last 2 years of his career.
And it wasn't.
Marino
I mean,
won.
he was good, but it wasn't like he was like leading that team, was he? I
Marino-
mean, they had like
Marino went. Yeah, played in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Marino went to one like either his rookie or his second year.
I think it was his rookie year.
But yeah, Elway, he needed a lot of help to get that though too. Definitely wasn't because of him that they won. The
John
Broncos won.
Elway. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because who's his face was running for 2,000 yards all the time with the
Oh,
migraines.
Davis.
Thank you.
They had a good defense and they had Ed McCaffrey and all those
Yeah,
guys.
Ed McCaffrey. God, he was one of
Yeah.
my favorites. Wearing the pee
Oh,
wee
no
size
pads.
shoulder pads. Yeah, like crazy. Okay, back to training camp. Surprise cut. Who do you think? Now that we've talked a little bit about like position battles and blah blah blah, Marcus Sherrill's maybe a possibility on this list. Who do you think is going to be the surprise cut?
That's too obvious.
Marcus Sherrill's. Hot take coming up.
Terrence Newman.
Whoa,
I just think that
that would be a surprise.
there's a lot of good young cornerbacks on this Vikings roster this year, and I think they want to make sure they have a spot for all of them if they need to. He could be a guy where like they cut and then bring back later in the season.
Oh yeah. I was
But-
thinking
But I wouldn't
cut him
I
and
wouldn't
then
be
bring him
surprised.
on as a coach, as an offensive or defensive assistant.
Sure.
Excuse me.
Sure, whatever.
I'd be into that.
I think he wants to do that anyways. I wouldn't be surprised if Zimmer hires him when he eventually retires. But yeah, I'll throw that out there. I'll put my name on it.
I'm trying. It wouldn't be that big of a surprise, but I think Treadwell is going to be cut. I think he's going to perform poorly, and I think they're going to let him go.
I would even look at it the other way. What about Kendall Wright? What if they?
I think to bring a
can't
guy,
find a role
there's
for him?
there's so much.
Costs $1 million. That's it.
Yeah, that's true. But there's, I don't want to say this. There's no ceiling with Treadwell anymore. With Kendall Wright, you can still justify that there might be something that we could get out of him that somebody
I don't
else
think
hasn't
there's
gotten out of him.
any ceiling for Treadwell.
I
This is
mean,
his third year. He's 23.
but at this point, if after 3 seasons the Vikings coaching staff haven't been able to get him to do what they want him to do, I think they would be more likely to keep a guy that they aren't sure isn't going to get it than a guy
also
they're
his-
pretty sure isn't going to get it.
His third offensive coordinator in the last 3 years. He had a quarterback who couldn't find him last year. He's got a quarterback who likes to spread the ball around this year, so I think this is a make or break year for him for sure. But I don't think he's up there for cuts, especially because he's got that 5th-year option on his contract. And I mean, we know Spielman likes those.
Yeah, he does.
Because even Sharif Floyd stuck around.
Wasn't there like injury stuff where they
Oh,
couldn't,
yeah,
like,
he was
cut
put
him
on,
out
like,
because of it? But,
Injured NFI list or whatever,
yeah,
but
yeah.
they still kept him on there because I'm guessing because of that 5th-year option.
Yeah, I don't know. Who else would get cut as a surprise? I mean, Newman is a decent. I mean, I like that one because that could be like there's just no spot for you, dude. Sorry, like that makes sense to me. So I guess if in the wide receiver group, So you're
Harrison
thinking Wright
Smith.
would be that guy that would get? Yeah, Harrison Smith.
Yeah, I think he's a sleeper.
A sleeper surprise cut possibility.
Yeah. Just because he was only $1 million. 1 year, $1 million. That's not, a ton of money put into him.
No, and it's not like they would be.
I can even see Simeon getting cut.
A quarterback would
He's
make
got-
more sense to me.
He's got
than
1 year
a
left.
Receiver, yeah.
And if the Vikings like Slaughter as much as everyone hears they do, then they might only want to keep 2 quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think quarterback could probably be a more likely surprise cut than a wide receiver. For all those reasons you just mentioned, because there's still so much they don't know about Wright, and Treadwell has all the options.
Simeon's not amazing.
No.
But, I mean, you also worry about, the experience factor. 'cause,
Especially after last season when they could bring a
especially the
guy in with a
Vikings,
little bit of
'cause
experience and not panic. And I think, you got to think Simeon is more like Case Keenum would have been last year than Slaughter is.
They have to, if it's close, then, they'll go with the more experience.
Yeah. Oh, man. I'm very concerned going into this season. I think that after...
You're still sticking to Treadwell?
Yeah.
Or did I sway you?
No, I definitely have a bunch of X's through it on my notebook now that you said all that. But, I don't know. I'm going to go Slaughter as the surprise.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of fans. It would be surprising for them to let him go, but I think that's the most likely. We just don't have a spot for you, because he's old enough where they don't need to keep him. It's not like there's a project that he could be a world beater at the end. Whereas like a Treadwell, there's still some maybe you could get first round production.
The Vikings are
out of
lucky.
that.
They could trade. Hopefully they could maybe even trade
A quarterback,
before the season begins.
Okay, we already talked about the SB. We already talked about... Did we talk about Hughes and signing his contract?
Yeah, he signed his rookie deal. We didn't talk about it, but yeah, he's officially signed now, luckily, before training camp. So all the Vikings picks are signed.
Yeah, that full draft class is good to go, right?
Yeah, I think it's around $9 million, a little over $9 million. It's his contract. I think his cap hit's like 1.2 or $4 million this year. So they still have around
14
$12 million cap space this year.
Okay.
Plenty of room to sign either Diggs and Barr to extensions if they would like, or maybe even Nick Easton.
Mm-hmm. Do you think there's a chance they go after the cuts all happen? Do you think there's a chance they go after an offensive lineman who was let go? Do you think that's maybe an option for them? Huh?
Depends who it is, especially with what just went down. I don't know if they want to throw any more difficulty into the situation that there already is.
For sure, probably.
And if someone gets hurt,
Mm-hmm.
like if Easton or Elfline isn't fully recovered yet from their injuries. But
We assume both of them are going to be healthy going into the season, though, right? That was the plan.
They're supposed to. I wouldn't be surprised if they sit out a couple practices and stuff.
Who was
for-
the other one? Sendejo was the other one that was not healthy during minicamp, right? So we're still waiting
And
to see.
and Griffin, Everson Griffin.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I think that's just old age, though. It was like knee soreness or whatever. So.
Can't play.
And everyone was tearing their ACLs in minicamp this year, so the Vikings are probably like, why don't you sit out?
Let's not do this. Hughes signing is good. I like the cap space. I was noticing somebody, I can't remember who it was, but they tweeted where everybody, all 32 teams in the NFL were at with their cap space remaining.
Oh, the Browns have like $60 million.
My God. They have $69 million in cap space. Almost $70 million in cap space. What are they going to do with that? Why do you have that?
I think it carries over to next year, too.
Maybe that's the plan, and then you just... I don't know. That seems like you're making
You got to
yourself
save
less
money.
competitive.
You got to save money for all those wins that you're going to have in the future. With the
That's
Browns.
what I tweeted. I was like, do they know LeBron is not going to play for them? Because that's usually what teams are doing when they save money like this. Is
Brett Favre.
Yeah. Not going to... Maybe it's for Johnny football.
Baker Mayfield isn't still unsigned. So maybe they'll give all that to him.
Yeah, there you go. Guaranteed contract. No problem.
Yeah.
$45 million.
Saquon Barkley he just got a fully guaranteed contract.
Did he?
Yeah, it's only like $30 million, but in over 5 years, but still fully guaranteed.
Good for
a
him.
rookie.
That's smart. Correct me if I'm wrong, though.
Yeah.
Was that not the reason that the rookie wage scale went into? Was because these guys were getting
It wasn't because of
obscene
that.
guaranteed money?
It was because of the amounts.
Yeah.
It was because of the amounts.
But
30
the
million.
guaranteed
It's
money
not-
wasn't. What was Sam Bradford's guaranteed money on his rookie deal? Because that was the one that broke the camel's back, was it not? That was like the last
It's either
year. where
that
they were
or-
like, okay,
yeah.
we got to redo this.
Either that or Matt Stafford. I think it was Bradford.
Because
Yeah.
wowzer. And I
Yeah.
get it. He's got a statue in front of the stadium in Norman, Oklahoma. I get
Yes,
it.
never
He's
mentioned-
good. I never mentioned that.
Let's
Got a Heisman
see.
Trophy. Knees are
The
sturdy.
Rams.
Knees are braceless and sturdy.
Oh my god. His rookie contract with the Rams paid him
$54 million.
$65 million.
Jeez. That's insanity.
He made over $12 million in 4 of his 5 years for the Rams.
My oh my.
And then they were like, yeah, we're going to fix that.
Yeah, we're not going to do this anymore. Could you imagine walking into training camp as a rookie with that kind of money, surrounded by guys who have been busting their humps for like years to get?
Dinner's on you.
Oh man, I would just be buying everything for everybody.
Yeah.
Would you like a ride?
What do you have? What do you have to spend your money on?
When you're
Especially when you're that young. Like maybe, I don't know if you had a girlfriend or a wife or anything, but I'm assuming you didn't have kids.
yeah. Well, even if you like buy a house.
You
Now
still
what?
have
You still have a
$10 million.
huge, exactly. You still have a huge amount of money left. Like, what are you gonna do? See, and that is why I would be out of the NFL, because I can tell you exactly what I would have done at 22 with that kind of money, and it wouldn't have helped my football career at all.
Oh, you'd be like Josh Gordon,
Oh, probably would.
Johnny Manziel.
That's probably a closer comparison.
I think a lot of people would be. I think a lot of people would be.
I think
More
I
like
think
a
you're
Manziel.
lying to yourself if you think that not you specifically, like you, but you as the collective us, if you think you could have gotten that amount of money at 22 and handled it like a grown-up. I think the majority of people would act like...
A lot of football fans didn't go to college, but a lot of football players did go to college. So they know somewhat how to manage their money, probably a little better than people that didn't go to college. You know, obviously there's people that didn't go to college that know how to manage their money.
I'm not one of them.
But some of these guys went to like Stanford and Notre Dame. Like you got to be smart to play at these schools. So not Florida State, but
I was trying to. The wheels were turning. I was trying to get a shot and I couldn't do it. You beat me to it. God, that's so much money. Yeah, I would have handled it like a goofball. But yeah, so Hughes is now signed. He gets some of that money, not nearly as much. But it's a small piece of the pie because the Vikings are now worth $2 billion with a B. Billion dollars.
yeah, 2.4,
Decent investment by the Wilfs. Because what did they buy it for?
$600 million. Pretty good.
It's worth more now. Yeah, worth
400% profit.
$2 billion.
But they have spent that money. They've spent a lot of money to get that team up there.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the reason they're worth $2 billion is because they have TCO and because they have US Bank Stadium and because of all the stuff that they've
and they're in the NFL.
did. Well, that too, but helps.
So I believe even the Bills are worth over $1 billion, and they have
Really?
crappy stadium. I think pretty much every NFL team is worth over $1 billion at this point, just because of how much revenue they generate and TV contracts. And
Yeah,
all
the
that stuff.
TV deals alone has got to get most up close
But yeah,
to that number.
I posted like the article about that last week, and some guy was like, "Yeah, but we paid for their stadium," and I looked it up. I'm like, actually, they paid more than 50% of that. So the public paid for some of it.
Yes,
but
they did.
they still put up like good 600 million.
Yes,
So,
and if you want to have a
so-
conversation about whether or not billionaires should be paying for the entire full stadium or not, that's a conversation I'm willing to have. But the idea that the Vikings did not pay for that stadium, or the owners of the Vikings did not pay anything for that
That's
stadium,
nuts.
is totally incorrect and totally false, and people need to quit with that because it's totally
And
inaccurate.
as a city, like, you should want to, you know, help out in paying that, because that's an investment for your city as well.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, that's showing the owners that, you know, you want the team there. You know, it's not just like, yeah, you just build whatever you want.
Yeah, well, I feel like Minneapolis and I guess Minnesota specifically, that was kind of the end of that was the last stadium that got built because they just built the new Target Field Twin Stadium. They renovated Target Center, or had agreed to do
Building
that.
soccer field now, right?
Yeah, all these things. So I think that Minnesotans and Minneapolitans,
St. Paul.
yeah, Twin
Twin City.
Twin Cities. God, now I can't think of it. Twin Cityans were more frustrated by that at that point because they had already gone through it like 3 different times and they were starting to get frustrated. Why are my taxes, like, why is this so expensive? Oh, it's
That's
to pay
because
for
the
this
Vikings and Twins shared the same stadium.
for the long, yeah. Well, and if you don't even need to like enjoy sports because there's so much, like the X Games are in US Bank
Yeah.
Stadium right now, or were last week or whatever.
were,
So
yeah,
it's like,
yeah,
so
yesterday.
like there's so many different
brings-
things, concerts, blah blah
It
blah,
brings
blah,
so much more.
all this stuff.
They had I think they even had like that American Ninja Warrior was there.
What? How did I miss
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's my show.
Yeah, I was there. You could have competed.
What? I probably wouldn't have done that. I would have been embarrassed.
It would have been fun to see like Linval Joseph do it though. Or something
Yeah.
like that.
Oh, did you see the Dan Lebitard show? They had their
Yeah, I did
staff
see
do
it.
Oh man, that
Oh,
was
that was
amazing
great.
to watch like normal looking dudes do it. I was like, okay, so maybe it's a little harder than I thought, but
Oh,
that, like
it's
would
way-
that was basically what I thought I would look like, where I'd be latching onto stuff and I wouldn't look
Mm-hmm.
smooth, but I'm pretty sure I could get across a couple. You know, the bounce back and forth over the Y. I could probably do
Yeah, I've seen kids do it before, and I was like, yeah, I feel really bad about myself. There.
that I wouldn't be able to do it. Okay, Vikings are worth $2 billion. Somebody else is going to be worth a lot of money. His name is Diggs. He's going to be worth more money because of a contract recently signed by Mr. Brendan Cooks. Where do you think Diggs' number is at right now? If you had to guess.
Similar to what Cooks got, I think it was around the total value of the contract was around like 80 million. I think his guaranteed, like fully guaranteed money was only around like 20 million.
Okay.
So it's probably around the range that the Vikings are looking at. There's rumors that a deal has already been worked out or whatever, and they're just waiting to announce it. So something could happen later this week when they get to training camp, and then, you know, the news on Sunday kind of derailed that
Yeah,
happiness.
puts everything on the back burner for a little bit.
But from what I've heard, I do believe an announcement about that will be happening sooner than later. But yeah, it's probably going to be 4 or 5 years, around that 80 million total value of the contract, not guaranteed and all that stuff. I'll probably get 20 to 25 fully guaranteed. 13 to 14 a year. But as always, you have to wait until the details of the contract comes out, because the Vikings like to put everything at the end, and they're usually pretty good at putting stuff in there where they can get out of it after a year or two. So if the big money comes out and people are like, "Oh my God, how'd I give that to him?"
You
like,
know that's going to happen, right? It's
Oh, yeah.
inevitable that's going to happen. People are going to lose their minds.
I don't really even know why teams. It's not teams, because teams never release the details of a contract, but like analysts and stuff say that it's like a 5-year, $80 million contract, because that's players hardly ever either finish out the whole contract or like get all that money before they're released or cut.
Yeah. Well, I think it's totally to do the thing that we're talking about, is because if
It's for agents probably.
yeah, well, and if you exactly,
like,
yeah,
I
yeah.
want- I
that
want to
one.
be number one.
And then as an agent, you tell somebody, hey man, we got this number. Here's what our guaranteed number is. Make sure you
But
tell people that, because I did that. That was
I
me.
do think the Vikings have to, get the show on the road with Diggs, because if they wait any longer, his price is gonna keep going up.
Agreed, 100%. I think the sooner you do it, the better, and the more money
Next
you will
year, you're probably gonna have to rework Thielen's contract because
Yeah.
he is a bargain right now.
save 100%. And he is after this season, he's going to be totally justified to not go to the mandatory whatevers in the offseason.
He's making like $5 or $6 million a year. Vikings are lucky he didn't ask for more money this offseason.
Oh man, yes, they are. He seems like I don't want to say a nice guy. He seems like a nice guy that wouldn't ask for it, but he seems like
He knows how good he is.
he knows how good he is, and I think he understands the system and that eventually his turn will come up, and it ain't going to be that long.
Yeah, because he sees Everson Griffin and Joseph and Harrison Smith, and they waited. They didn't hold out or anything, and they got some money. So. Also, Harrison Smith, he has a ton of money. He wears like the most normal clothes I've ever seen like a millionaire wear in my life. Like he wears like jeans and a white T-shirt, like in every picture I've seen. I'm like,
Classic look, man. Classic look.
it is a classic look, but I'm just like,
David Letterman used to do that. Or
Although
probably
those-
still
those-
does, but
although those shirts, his T-shirts, whatever, probably are like $100.
I was just gonna say that those are probably $500 jeans and like
Yeah.
$400
So-
T-shirts.
It looks like he doesn't spend a lot of money, but he probably does.
I mean, you gotta buy the nice stuff when you got that kind of money.
Yeah, the
But
nice
you gotta look like you're. I mean,
T-shirts.
I'm with it. Yeah, man.
It's like the biggest oxymoron in the world.
Dude, honest to God, if I see a price tag on a T-shirt that says anything over $20, I'm like, I'm out.
Yes.
I can't do it. It's just not worth it because I'm gonna go through this so fast. These T-shirts mean nothing to me. You know how old I am.
$15.
You know how many T-shirts I've had. You know how many band T-shirts I've ruined.
Yeah.
I need to count. You want me to pay $30
$15
for a T-shirt? Get out of here.
Yeah. Oh yeah. People pay 40 for like $40 at a concert
Yeah.
for a T-shirt. I'm like,
Oh,
what are you
man.
doing?
You know what I found out? When you're opening for, like, say we were in a band
Oh.
and we got asked to open for the Foo Fighters.
Ooh.
We are unable to sell our merchandise for the same or less than what the Foo Fighters are selling. So when the Foo Fighters bust out a $50 sweatshirt,
Oh, wow.
you have to sell your sweatshirt for $51 or above.
Whatever.
And everybody gets a cut of your merch money.
Oh, the Foo Fighters.
Everybody. That blew
Man,
my
that's
mind.
stupid.
That's what I'm saying.
But I mean, you get to go on tour with Foo
Yeah, I can't go wrong. And this, I mean, just picking Dave Grohl's ear, I'd be into it. But all I'm saying is, don't always blame the bands for those prices because a lot of times it's
No,
not
I never
up to
do.
them.
I know it's not them.
Yeah.
If it was up to them, they'd probably sell them for like $5.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie though. I have definitely bought a $50 hooded sweatshirt because of the band name. That was
A hoodie, yeah.
yeah, all the time.
That's different.
T-shirts,
hoodie-
yeah, different.
Hoodies can last you a long time.
I would agree with that.
T-shirts, good 20 wears, and that thing shrinks like
Definitely
hell
doesn't look the same. Doesn't feel the same.
up. No.
Put it in the bottom corner of the dresser and never think about it again. That's usually
Speaking
what
of-
I do.
Speaking of T-shirts, Bleeding Purple podcast has their own T-shirt.
T-shirts. We got merch, yo.
You can. Tyler will probably post a link in the description,
Yes, I will.
and you can purchase it. It's pretty cool.
I like it. I mean, we like it. We kind of designed it, but
You can buy it. You can buy a Bleeding Purple mug. You can buy a Bleeding Purple onesie. Bleeding Purple hoodie.
all these things, all these
Whatever you
things, and you can buy them and then get them and then wear them to training camp
Yeah.
because eventually we'll be out there.
In the 2 days
I'll
that
be
you
out
can
there.
go, you can
Yeah.
wear them at training camp.
I'm not sure when I'll be there, so maybe I'll see you. Not you, because you're on the other side of the country.
I
but,
wish.
you know, people who are buying the shirt. Maybe I'll see them out there. I don't know. I don't know. It's all... I'm starting to... In conclusion, I'm starting to freak out because this feels like the...
You're gonna get let down.
Well, we can't have nice things here. We can't have nice things as Vikings fans, you know?
Yeah.
And it feels
Waiting
like
for
there's...
Kirk Cousins' leg to fall off.
Yeah, I really am. Or waiting for, I mean, it's just,
You should, because you're a Vikings fan. You're used to it.
and so I'm starting to panic, and part of me
So
is,
after they won last year, the miracle game or whatever. And everyone's like, "Oh, we're going to the Super Bowl." I'm like, hold on,
No.
this is the Vikings we're talking about.
Yeah. I was excited after that because I knew it didn't matter. If we lost, how we lost, when we lost, Super Bowl would be cool, but we'll always have
Oh yeah,
that
nothing will top that feeling.
No.
Of like, oh my god.
insane. It's just, it was so fun.
But
So fun.
kind of taking it, coming full circle and going back to Sperano's passing, I think, unlike in past situations, I think the Vikings have the right guy in Mike Zimmer, leading the way. Because he's already been through a bunch of stuff here with the Vikings, with Adrian Peterson's child abuse case, Teddy Bridgewater's leg almost falling off, last year's quarterback stuff, his eyes almost falling out, all that other stuff.
God, he's been here three seasons. That's all in 3 seasons.
4.
Well, about
North Turner quitting. So,
yeah.
and he's still been able to get 2 division titles for this team in 4 years, get them to the NFC Championship. So if there's anyone, that can get them back on track after this, I think Zimmer is definitely the right guy to be in there. Unfortunately, he has the experience of dealing with someone suddenly passing away.
Yes.
So he knows exactly what the Sperano family is going through right now. But I think there's not really many other people you could pick other than Zimmer to help the Vikings get on,
And nobody
back
else
on
had
track.
That's for sure. He'd be the guy I
Because
want leading the team.
Some people are like, "Oh, this is probably a bad omen." No, it's gonna wreck their season or whatever. But I'm like, I think Mike Zimmer, he's shown in the past that he can take something like this and turn it into a positive. And instead of being like, "Oh, now what are we gonna do?" He'll have the Vikings, like this season is for Tony or whatever.
Yeah. I think you can say a lot of different things about the stuff that this team has gone through, but at the end of the day, Zimmer has done a good job of keeping the wheels from falling all the way off, when things could get really bad. They never really have. I mean, things have gotten pretty ugly. 2016 wasn't real great, but...
No. Yeah. I mean, 2014, one game into the season, wasn't that great either.
Yeah, I could go. So many things. So many things. But
One year,
new season. It's going to be so
year.
great. Optimism.
Like to have a boring off season. No one will get hurt.
So close. We were within days of no controversy.
We're not like blaming Tony Sperano for
Yeah.
dying or whatever.
No.
either. So, don't think that's what's going on.
No.
But training camp begins this week, and I believe they play a preseason game in like 2 weeks.
Is it 2 weeks? Is that Denver?
Broncos, Case Keenum.
Oh, I'm excited to watch Chase play for his new team.
For those that don't live in Minnesota, I believe it's going to be televised on NFL Network.
Okay. Good to know.
I'll be watching, obviously.
Yeah. Which is good. Because you got to write about him. You got to do this
I get paid.
podcast. Yeah, it helps.
Yeah.
It helps to actually watch the game.
My job.
Yep, it is. Well, all right, man. I got nothing else on the list. Do you got anything else before training camp?
I don't think so. We'll talk next week, though.
Yes, we
probably
will.
be going back to
Every week going forward.
once a week.
Football
Because we'll have
sports.
stuff to talk about. Hopefully, no one gets hurt in these first couple of practices.
Knock on wood.
Yeah, I think at least the first 2 or 3 aren't with pads. So I don't think they'll begin with pads until next week.
I think you are correct on that.
Then the real fun will start.
Oh, I'm so pumped. Training camp. Here it is.
So, and then, Randy Moss is coming up. He's going to be inducted to the Hall of Fame.
It's going to be a fun season. I'm not sure how many games they're going to win, but it's going to be fun.
It's going to be a good year. I feel like it will.
I agree with that. All right, bud. I'll see you next week.
All right. Skol.